Hey guys, Michael the Comic Nerd here again. If you haven't noticed, lately on Netflix, there's a new Netflix original Marvel comic book series, not comic book series, TV series on Netflix right now called Jessica Jones. Okay, so I figured since we covered Daredevil already, although admittedly not our most popular series, that fuck it, let's take a look at Jessica Jones too. So this is our new mini vlog series we're gonna do. Covering the first 13 episodes of Season 1 of Jessica Jones, and we're going to see how it stacks up. I've actually counted rewatching Daredevil on Netflix as kind of preparation for this show coming up, just so I can kind of compare and contrast the styles and kind of just see what they're going for, and again, just how different they are from the movies. And yeah, just see how it stacks up. Admittedly, Jessica Jones, and this is worth noting before I get into this, Jessica Jones isn't really a character I'm all that familiar with, in the comic books at least. Like, I didn't read Alias, I don't think I was that big into comic books when this series was going on, or at least I wasn't aware of this series when this was going on. So I only found out about Jessica Jones through the New Avengers, after the very first issue of the New Avengers, like when Luke Cage joined the Avengers team, and at this point Jessica Jones is already married to Luke Cage and was pregnant with his child, so I didn't really get a good sense of who Jessica Jones was before that point, so I can't really compare her character in the Alias series to the TV show, so keep that in mind when I'm talking about this. I can talk a little bit about Purple Man. Only a little bit, though. He's also kind of another character I'm not all too familiar with. Only, like, in little snippets here and there. But I think I got enough to get it down. And I did some research online while watching this. So I know the history. I know what happens. I know in the comic books. So I can kind of make that comparison here, too. Now, unlike the Daredevil vlogs, I don't know if I can get this out, a new episode out every day, just because my schedule is so busy right now, and I'm honestly just trying to keep my head above water right now. That's why I haven't released as many videos as I usually do. Sorry about that, by the way. But, yeah, we'll do the best we can. We'll get through as many as we can. We'll bring Grant in after the first couple episodes, and he can talk about it with me, and we can, do our usual shtick. You guys know what to expect by this point. So, with all that being said, let's take a look at Jessica Jones, Episode 1, a.k.a. Ladies' Night. Apparently, all the episodes start with a.k.a., which is kind of weird, but I'm hoping it'll make more sense as the series goes on. Yeah, really solid first episode. Really good establishing episode. I was a little worried for the first half, because the first half very much wears its noir inspirations on its sleeve. Like, how the episode goes is it stars, of course, the main character, Jessica Jones. I don't know who plays her, but I know she's the one that died in Breaking Bad. Does a phenomenal job here. Does a phenomenal job. Mostly in the second half, but we'll get to that. But it's about this woman who clearly has some kind of superpowers, swears a lot, is kind of an alcoholic, a private eye in a dingy little apartment building. It even opens up, this is clearly influenced by, Chinatown and Blade Runner and all those, old school noir detective movies. It even opens, a voiceover narration in a dingy New York street, and it starts, New York City. Oh, what was the line? It was a great fucking line. It was something's, I'm gonna play, because it's gonna bug me now. I have it right next to me. By the way, very pretty use of color on the intro section.
Maybe the city that never sleeps, but it sure does sleep around.
That was it. Okay. It's a city that doesn't sleep, but it sure does like to sleep around, and shit like that. For the first half of this episode, it's a lot of kind of noir detective cliches, except in modern day and with a superhero, which I'm totally okay with, because I love that noir shit. I do. I am a sucker for detective shit. I love it. That being said, it was kind of distracting. I wasn't quite sure where it was going with it. And oddly enough, it kind of drops the noir thing in the second half of the episode when the main character realizes, after getting a case to find a missing daughter that's named Hope, that she's been brainwashed by the Purple Man, Kilgrave, who in this series is played by David Tennant, who we get very, very brief glimpses of, Because apparently he and Jessica Jones have a very, very bad history. Where I'm guessing from what they've seen in the show so far and what I know from the comic books is that he brainwashed her into basically being his girlfriend and or wife for an extended period of time, gave her horrible PTSD, and just really fucked up her life in general. And that's why she's an alcoholic, swearing to private detective. And a lot of that is clearly shown in the second half of the episode, and that's where things got really interesting. But as soon as that reveal comes in, the whole episode kind of changes gears a little bit, and it turns much more into, honestly, a much more interesting show about a woman who has to conquer her fear of basically an abusive ex-boyfriend. In this case, no, that's not an apt description. She has to conquer her fear of a man with a very pervasive set of powers and abilities that will completely fuck over people. It is, you can kind of make the argument, honestly, that it's kind of a metaphor for an abusive relationship. Honestly, you really could make that comparison the more I think about it. But either way, the woman who plays Jessica Jones, I'm going to look her up because I don't want to have to keep saying that woman who plays every time I talk about her, just does a phenomenal job of conveying that fear and that unsettled nature, and like how you totally buy just how goddamn uncomfortable and how afraid she is of this guy, and you totally buy her struggle to run away, and that makes it a much bigger moment when she decides, no, I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna try to fight this. All that stuff works really well. Kristen Ritter, is it Writer? I don't know. Kristen Ritter. Just gonna call her Kristen. Okay, so Kristen does a fantastic job in this, and really sells the second half of the episode. Makes it a lot more interesting, a lot more character-driven, which I liked. Phenomenal work there, and I can't wait to see what she does the rest of the series. Even that, even the noir stuff, even though I wasn't quite as invested in that, it's still funny and entertaining. And Kristen really just brings a lot of energy and just a lot of just sarcastic wit and a dry sense of humor that I'm always a fan of. I don't know how this compares to Jessica Jones in the actual Alias series. That's the one thing, people who've read the comic book and you're watching this video, let me know in the comments, see how it kind of compares, because I'm curious, but not enough to spend the money to buy the comic books. So let me know. I mean, I know it's a good book. It's written by Brian Michael Bendis, who's a great writer, so I'm hoping. But anywho, meanwhile, we also know that Jessica Jones works with a lawyer who's played by Trinity from The Matrix, which I was kind of like, okay, that's a thing that happens. Who has this kind of weird subplot where she's a lesbian, okay, fine, who's having an affair with her girlfriend and or wife. I don't know, they don't really say. Problem is, there's only 2 scenes of this. The woman she's cheating on girlfriend and or wife doesn't even have a line in the episode. It comes out of nowhere. It kind of just disappears just as quickly. It's one of those subplots I'm hoping they do more with it in the future, because right now it's like, well, that was completely pointless. But yeah, I can tell right now, but going back to Purple Man, though, I am deeply intrigued by where they're going with Purple Man, because for those who don't know, Purple Man in the comic books is a Kilgrave who has his power is mind control, which we've seen a million times in movies and cartoons and every other kind of comic book stuff out there. But the way they present it here really emphasizes just how fucking pervasive and just how pervasive it is. It really just feels completely perverse and so disturbing and uncomfortable. And it does this use of clever blue filters and kind of flashback, almost like a horror scene. And the way other characters try to describe how he has control over them, how they want to do something but they don't want to do it, is very clever and just adds to, honestly, kind of the abusive relationship metaphor. And again, just really just God, it makes you feel so uncomfortable that there's even a brief glimpse where occasionally Jessica Jones will have a blink and you miss it moment where the Purple Man will show up in her dreams or something, like a PTSD flashback, and one of them is just David Tennant licking her face for like a blink and you miss it second. It's just like, ugh, that's gross. But yeah, it's so I'm really curious where that's going. Nice twist ending. I'm not gonna give it away here, but yeah, you'll see you'll know when you get there. I thought that was good. I enjoyed the second half much more than the first half. I'm wondering if the noir thing is here to stay, or that was just to establish the setting and the characters and stuff like that. I don't know where they're going with that yet, because again, they kind of dropped it in the second half, so I don't really know what's happening. We'll see. Another one I want to talk about is I do want to talk about Luke Cage in this series, because he is pretty much the only character from this run I'm even remotely familiar with. Now, up before I actually saw the first episode, and of course I've seen the trailers, and I've kind of seen the cast, and it's like, I don't know about Mike Coulter. I don't know if he's Luke Cage. I always kind of pictured the guy from the Old Spice commercials looked more like Luke Cage than this guy did, but as soon as I saw him in action, and I saw him talking with Jessica Jones, like, okay, yeah, that's Luke Cage. Okay, nailed it. Perfect. Okay. And after one episode, they've already banged. Now, it's kind of implied that at this point, Luke Cage already has his powers with Unbreakable Skin, and I'm curious to see how that will play into it, because I don't know if Luke Cage is getting his own series or not. According to IMDb, he's in all 13 episodes of the series, so we'll see. Like, I don't know if I know Iron Fist is getting his own show. I don't know Luke Cage is, but I guess we'll find out one way or another. Either way, I'm curious to see where that dynamic is going. This is a ballsy series for Marvel, and again, I guess I should be too surprised by it at this point, because these are the same guys who took a lot of bets on a giant tree and a talking raccoon. That fucking worked for them. So I guess they're probably less afraid to do a TV show based on a significantly lesser known female character. And as far as I know, it's like the first female-led superhero show ever. Well, with the exception of like Wonder Woman way back in the day, but that's like the only one I can think of off the top of my head. Okay, but there's also Birds of Prey. There's that one too. Okay, so there are a few, but this is like the biggest one, the biggest. I don't know. Either way, it's ambitious. I'll say that much. But either way, I'm intrigued where they're going with this. It's a good establishing first episode, and it's got me intrigued. And that's what a pilot should do. So it's accomplished its job. So yeah, so far so good. Let's watch the next one.